Hi, my name is Harvey Mysel. I've developed this program with one goal in mind: to help you have a successful living kidney transplant experience. The good news is that you don't have to ask someone to be a donor. I know that may sound strange, but donors tell me, no one asked me to donate. I was inspired when I heard their story. It's all about your story. Over the following episodes, I'll help you build a team of advocates, I'll educate you about living donation, and I'll help you develop and share your story. You'll be able to educate others and correct people who believe the many myths and misconceptions that are floating around. Let's talk about developing your story. You've written your story, but how do you tell it in person? Using social media is a powerful way to tell your story. Being creative will greatly improve your chances of your donor finding you. Have you considered using a yard sign to tell your story? Paired exchanges have revolutionized living kidney transplants. These are critical components you'll need so your donor can find you. Commit yourself to this program. This can be a new beginning. I'm excited for you. So let's get started. Like so many important pursuits, having a team will help you achieve your goal. This will be a team that you'll choose, a team that will want to help you, a team that we'll call advocates. The main purpose of your advocates is to spread your story to a wider network. They'll be able to do this in many ways, which we'll get into, but first I want you to think of 3 to 5 people that you know who will want to help. Family is a great place to start, but they don't have to be relatives. They can be friends, really anyone. The biggest hesitation I hear is that you don't want to burden people. People are busy enough, right? But as it turns out, people love helping. It makes the mission of our life bigger and more meaningful. And surely, helping you get a second chance at life is as meaningful as it gets. You're probably thinking, won't this make them feel obligated to donate? The answer is no. You're asking them to help tell your story. Also, by letting your advocates know they're part of a team, it takes the pressure off of them. Put yourself in their shoes. Perhaps they really want to donate, but can't. This gives them a way to help, which is the main goal. Here are some tips on how to approach someone to be an advocate. Use email. Thoughtfully compose your message to explain what an advocate is and why you're asking them to be on your team. If you already have other advocates, you can reference them. Start by telling your story, how receiving a living donor transplant will make a difference in your life. If for any reason they decide not to serve as an advocate, be sure to accept this decision gracefully and let them know you completely understand. The goal is to strengthen relationships, not risk damaging them. I have included more specifics about approaching advocates in our supporting resource material. In the next episode, I'll explain how to develop your story, a story you and your advocates will share. I'll see you in the next episode. Let's talk about developing your story. Now that you have advocates, we can start developing the story that you and your advocates will share with others. It doesn't have to be complicated, and you can always make changes later. What's important is that it's authentic, that it's from your heart. That's what will move someone. Here are some important things to include, but add your own personal touch. Describe your current condition. Briefly explain how you got to this point. Mention what you've done to stay healthy, and describe what might be unique about you and your situation. End by letting them know how they can help, which is to share your story. If you think about it, this is very much like a job search, which we've all done. At the beginning, it was probably a little uncomfortable, but that feeling faded, you networked, and you got your story out there. Here's how I told my story. You may not know that I've had kidney disease for many years, and now I need a transplant. As a result of a hereditary condition called polycystic kidney disease, I needed and then received a kidney transplant 5 years ago. I was blessed that my wife, Amy, was able to donate. Because of Amy's gift, for those 5 years, I was able to live a normal life. Regrettably, a virus has attacked my new kidney, and I need a second transplant. If I receive a transplant soon, I will avoid dialysis, which is debilitating. I wanted to let you know about my need and would be grateful if you shared my story. Even though I had been helping people for 5 years develop their own campaign, it was difficult for me to take my own advice. But once I got started, everything just kind of flowed. Let me tell you how my donor found me. After my story was shared by my advocates, the word started getting out. It turns out someone I barely knew saw my story on Facebook and mentioned it to my eventual donor, Stephen. Stephen had an interest in organ donation and contacted me immediately. We began a relationship, proceeded through the evaluation process, and not long thereafter, he gave me the gift of life through a 3-way paired exchange, which I'll explain later. Your donor is out there too. You now have the basics of what you should include in your story. Take time, work through this so the message is clear, concise, and compelling. In the next episode, we'll discuss the importance of knowing more about transplants to build confidence in your campaign. An important component of being able to have your donor find you is being knowledgeable about kidney transplants. That knowledge will give you and your advocates confidence, and that confidence will permeate throughout your campaign. The consensus among transplant centers is that if more people knew how well living donors do after the transplant, more people would consider donating. So educating others is also one of your goals. By now, of course, you know that a kidney from a living donor lasts on average twice as long as one from a deceased donor. But just as important, dialysis only does a fraction of what an actual kidney can, which impacts the average life expectancy of someone on dialysis. Once you know the facts, you'll be able to educate others and correct people who believe the many myths and misconceptions that are floating around. Here are just a few. Many people think you need 2 kidneys to live a long life. 1 in 750 people are born with 1 kidney, and their life expectancy is the same as someone who's born with 2. You have 2 kidneys because 1 is a spare. Most conditions that cause kidney failure impact both kidneys at the same time, as was the case with me. The 2 leading causes of kidney failure, diabetes and high blood pressure, are no exception. You need to be a blood relative to donate. That was the case years ago, but the drugs recipients take and other factors overcome the need for a blood relative. Some women believe that after donating a kidney, they can't have children. You of course can have a child, or many. That's your choice. I always think it's strange that someone thinks that living donors take anti-rejection drugs. Only kidney recipients take immunosuppressant drugs, so their immune system doesn't reject the new organ. Some hospitals have written policy people over a certain age can't donate. I've helped many people in their 70s donate. It's not someone's age, it's their health. A more recent concern is that marijuana users are unable to be a kidney donor. If that were the case, California and other states wouldn't be doing many transplants. As the saying goes, knowledge is power. And the more you know about kidney transplants, the more confident you'll be in sharing your story. There's more information about kidney transplants in the supporting resources section. I encourage you to learn as much as you can about living donation. In the next episode, we'll discuss how to tell your story. I'll see you there. You've written your story, but how do you tell it in person? Well, you're going to shorten it. It's often referred to as an elevator speech, so that it's easy for you and your advocates to say. We're talking about that moment when someone casually asks, "How's it going?" Most people just say, "Good," but not you. You're going to tell your story. You're probably thinking, this might be a weird exchange, but it doesn't have to be. For example, a stranger asks, "How are you doing?" You reply, "I'm kidney campaigning." "Kidney campaigning?" they ask, totally surprised. "What do you mean?" At which point, you start your elevator speech. Afterwards, they may ask some questions. They may wish you good luck, or they may see you again 2 weeks later and really want to know more. Not everyone makes the decision to donate or help someone the first time they learn about it. Either way, you're getting your story out there to people who otherwise would have no way of knowing. And remember, you're not asking them to donate. There have been many articles written about grocery store cashiers, baristas, Uber drivers, hairdressers, and others who have donated after hearing someone's story. These interactions offer you that opportunity too. Give some thought to your elevator speech. The things to remember: it should be natural, authentic, and sincere. If it doesn't feel sincere after you've tried it once or twice, you can always go back and make some changes. Practice always helps. If you get emotional, that's okay. I certainly did when I discussed my story. People will understand and even connect more. So take your story, condense it, and tell it. Remember, it's all about your story. In the next episode, we'll discuss using email for your campaign. I'll see you there. Using email is an easy and effective way to keep your campaign going strong. It allows you to stay in regular contact with your advocates, and I encourage you to expand your email list to include others. Remember, 90% of people donate to someone they know or learned about them by hearing their story from someone else. So don't be afraid to cast a wider net to friends and family and others outside your advocates. A simple and non-intrusive way to use email effectively is what I call Tuesdays with. The idea is that each week, on Tuesday, you send out an email. Subject line, Tuesdays with. Then add your name. Use this to update your advocates and everyone else helping you. The email can be an update on your health. Include an interesting article about kidney transplants. Or sometimes you just might say, "I'm still kidney campaigning." Remember, not everyone makes the decision to donate or help the first time they learn about someone's need. All that matters is that you're keeping your situation in the front of people's minds. Make it interesting by using pictures or videos, but keep them short. One of your advocates could even be the one to send out these updates. Keep it positive and concise. At the bottom of each email, kindly ask that they share this with friends. You can also include the link to this website and suggest they register and watch the videos so they can learn more on how to help. It's a good idea to include the web link of your transplant center's donor information page and the email of the living donor coordinator. Some may want to learn more about the transplant process before talking to you, which is understandable. But before including the coordinator's email, it's best to ask the center's permission. To recap, email is a great and non-intrusive way to keep others updated on your progress. And using the Tuesdays idea will make it even easier. In the supporting resources, you'll find many ideas you could use for these updates. In the next episode, we'll discuss how to effectively use social media. I'll see you there. Using social media is a powerful way to tell your story to friends and broaden your campaign to reach new people. If you're not yet active on Facebook, it's time to sign up and create a public page dedicated solely to your living donor campaign. Your Facebook page will function as a web hub where people can learn about your story and how they can help. In the About section, You can link other social media and your transplant center's donor information page. The newsfeed section is a great place to post the content of your Tuesdays with updates or other articles and developments. Post often and include photos and videos. They always stand out. If you know people who are active on Facebook or other social media, you can ask them to share your postings so all their followers will learn your story. In addition to your own page, Facebook has numerous groups dedicated to end-stage kidney disease. These groups have thousands of members, just like you. They might be on dialysis, have had a kidney transplant, so use these groups as a place to share your story and connect with others. Though Facebook is the most popular platform, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn are also great. And because Facebook owns Instagram, you can conveniently post in both places at the same time. As with all of your communications, keep the tone of your social media positive and shareable. Your goal is to have others share your story and your posts and learn how they can advocate for you. If you've never used social media, you can learn about how to set up Facebook and other apps on the resource page. There are many other places and tutorials online that you can simply learn how to use Facebook or ask a librarian. To recap, social media is a powerful campaign tool to connect with people, allowing you to widely disseminate information and a call to action in one central hub. You'll find links to sample Facebook pages that other people have created for their campaigns in the resource section. In the next episode, we'll talk about getting creative, fun and innovative ways that you can share your story. I'll see you there. So far, we've discussed more traditional ways of getting your story out there. Being creative will greatly improve your chances of your donor finding you. In the spirit of a campaign, have you considered using a yard sign to tell your story? Create multiple signs and ask others to put them in their yards, and your exposure is multiplied. How about something bigger, like a billboard? The new digital ones can be reasonably priced. T-shirts have become very popular, and you can give them to others, and your message travels everywhere. You might have seen the story of a man who wore a T-shirt in Disneyland, and his story went viral. Rear window car signs are eye-catching and have become very popular too. You can put flyers on bulletin boards or the front window in your local coffee shop or grocery store. My cousin posted a note about me over 1,000 miles from where I live. Days later, I received a call from someone. I was surprised how quickly the word can spread. How about creating a business card for you and others to hand out? It's easy to carry and memorable for others to be able to follow up with you. Want to reach even more people? Contact your local TV or print journalist to see if they'll do a story about you. Or just send a letter to the editor. If they're looking for a human interest story, you have a good one. Standing on the sidewalk with a sign or sandwich board might not be for everyone, but it was right for this wife and this husband too. Attending reunions, religious and networking groups, or volunteering. All of these ideas have helped countless donors find people like you. You can even try your luck on Craigslist. Don't believe me? Search this. Found kidney donor on Craigslist and see the many success stories pop up. If you use a picture, pick one with you and your family or a pet. People like seeing personal pictures. I just have one rule about being creative. Whatever you do, it must be legal. For example, paying someone to donate is not legal. To recap, your campaign to have your donor find you should be as creative as possible. If you think of something new and innovative, please share it with me so others can benefit. We're all creative in our own way, so make your campaign unique. In the next episode, I'll explain the 3 major factors that determine donor-recipient compatibility. I'll see you there. There are many factors that determine whether the recipient and donor are compatible. I'm going to discuss 3 important ones to know: blood type, your immune system, and the cross-match. Let's begin with blood type. It's pretty simple to notice that blood type O is the universal donor and can donate to all other blood types, but can only receive a kidney from someone with blood type O. If you're an O, you've likely been told it will be more difficult to be matched. While true, almost half the population is blood type O. It's not as if you're searching for a person with a rare blood type. The second determinant of compatibility is a person's immune system, measured by the recipient's antibodies, called a PRA test. Antibodies are what protect us and help kill foreign objects, such as viruses, bacteria, and potentially a donor's organ. The more antibodies you have, the more difficult it is to find a compatible donor. Antibodies are measured from 0 to 100%. For example, an antibody level of 25 means that 25% of the general population will not be able to donate to you because you would reject that kidney. A high level of antibodies is referred to as being sensitized, and you should know your level. Antibodies develop in your blood if you've had a previous transplant, a blood transfusion, or for some women, after being pregnant. There is a way of lowering antibodies through a blood cleansing procedure called plasmapheresis. Read more about this in our supporting resources. The third determinant of compatibility is the cross-match. It's a test that mixes the blood of the recipient and donor to see if there's a reaction from the recipient's antibodies. If there's no reaction, or what is referred to as a negative cross-match, that means the donor can donate. Cross-matches are often done during the evaluation process and are always done again within a few days of the transplant as a final check to make sure donor and recipient are compatible. To recap, there are many factors that determine donor-recipient compatibility. We've covered 3 important ones. But over a third of donors are not compatible with their intended recipient. I wasn't compatible with Stephen, but it didn't stop him from being able to give me the gift of life. If you're not compatible with your prospective donor, there is a good option: paired exchanges. In the next episode, we'll go over one of the most important innovations to kidney transplants in the last couple decades: the paired exchange. The ability to get transplanted even if you and your prospective donor are incompatible. I'll see you there. Paired exchanges have revolutionized living kidney transplants. Over a third of all donor-recipient pairs are not compatible with each other. Years ago, an incompatible donor meant a dead end. Now they can still save a life. In fact, the increases we've seen in living kidney transplants is a result of paired exchanges. My donor Stephen and I weren't compatible, but he was still able to give me the gift of life through a 3-way paired exchange. Let me explain how it works. A paired exchange, in essence, is a swap. In this illustration, the donors and recipients are incompatible with each other. But if they're able to swap donors, both recipients get transplanted. This example shows 2 pairs, but paired exchanges can involve an unlimited number of pairs. Educating others about paired exchanges is essential. Many people don't know about them and don't pursue being a donor, thinking it's unlikely they can be a match. Your goal is to find someone interested in being a donor and provide them with the contact information of the center's living donor coordinator. If you have an incompatible donor, you should review the options that are available to you and your donor with the transplant center. There's much media attention given to individuals who don't know someone in need but still choose to be a donor. They are referred to as non-directed donors, and can save more than one life through a paired exchange. You can read more about non-directed donors and other types of paired exchanges in the supporting resources section. In the next episode, I'll summarize the key material we've covered and give some closing remarks. I'll see you there. Needing a kidney transplant is a unique medical condition in that someone needs to give of themselves for you to get better. But that person can't give unless they know about your need. As I've said numerous times, it's all about your story, and sharing it will make all the difference to your donor finding you. As you build your campaign with the help of advocates, more people will hear your story, and it will only take one person to make the difference. To recap just a few highlights, if you take anything from this series, educate yourself about living kidney transplants. It'll build confidence. Learn and share as much as you can. Share how paired exchanges work, so potential donors aren't discouraged thinking they might not be a match. Over 30% of donors aren't compatible with their intended recipient, but that no longer prevents donors from giving the gift of life, as Stephen gave to me. The myths and misconceptions references are real. Use them in your Tuesdays with updates and on social media. You now have the tools to start your campaign, a solid foundation to build on. Remember to stay positive, build bridges, even if those bridges are built on a fleeting moment when a stranger says hello. Positive energy will fuel you and your advocates and bring the success that you well deserve. From one person with kidney disease to another, you will be on my mind. You have a story worth sharing, and if you do, I know you'll find success. I wish you all the best.